In the late 16th century, the specter of Ottoman dominance loomed large over the Mediterranean. The Ottoman Empire, under Sultan Selim II, was an expansionist power of immense scale. Its shadow stretched from the sands of North Africa to the heart of the Balkans. Christian Europe watched this relentless advance with a mixture of fear and disunity. The Republic of Venice, a great maritime trading power, felt the threat most acutely. Its wealthy overseas possessions were directly in the path of Ottoman ambition. The flashpoint for the great conflict was the island of Cyprus. A Venetian holding, Cyprus was a jewel of the eastern Mediterranean. In 1570, Sultan Selim II demanded its surrender from Venice. The Venetians, proud and defiant, refused the ultimatum. The refusal triggered a massive Ottoman invasion of the island. The capital, Nicosia, fell quickly and was brutally sacked. The fortress of Famagusta, however, mounted a heroic, year-long defense. Its commander, Marcantonio Bragadin, became a symbol of Venetian resistance. When Famagusta finally fell in 1571, the Ottoman retribution was horrific. The brutal fate of Bragadin sent shockwaves of horror throughout Christendom. The fall of Cyprus spurred Pope Pius to action. He was a devout and determined man, committed to defending the faith. He tirelessly worked to forge an alliance of Christian powers. This alliance would come to be known as the Holy League. It brought together the Papal States, Spain, Venice, Genoa, and the Knights of Malta d'Artajor. King Philip II of Spain, the most powerful monarch in Europe, committed his vast resources. The supreme commander of the League's fleet was to be his young half-brother, Don John of Austria. Don John was charismatic, ambitious, and a natural leader of men. The Christian fleet began to assemble at Messina, in Sicily. It was a monumental undertaking, a gathering of ships and men from across the Catholic world. The core of the fleet consisted of oar-powered galleys. These were long, slender vessels, designed for speed and ramming. Each galley carried hundreds of oarsmen and soldiers. A key innovation for the League was the Venetian galleass. These were larger, taller, and more heavily armed than any galley. 6 of these floating fortresses would lead the Christian line. The Christian fleet possessed a significant advantage in firepower. Their cannons were more numerous and of better quality than those of the Ottomans. Elite Spanish infantry, the famed tercios, were also aboard. The Ottoman fleet was commanded by the capable Muizzin Zad Ali Pasha. Its force was slightly larger in number but lacked heavy artillery. The Ottomans relied on maneuverability and the skill of their archers. Their primary tactic was to close quickly, board, and overwhelm the enemy in hand-to-hand combat. A significant portion of the Ottoman oarsmen were Christian slaves. Their silent prayers were for a Christian victory and their own liberation. In late September, the Holy League's fleet sailed from Messina. Their destination was the Gulf of Patras, near Lepanto, where the Ottoman fleet was anchored. On the morning of October 7, 1571, the two fleets sighted each other. The sea was calm, the sky clear, a perfect day for a decisive battle. Don John gave the order to form for battle. A huge blue banner of the League was unfurled on his flagship, the Real. East's investments moved among the ships, offering blessings and absolution. The men, knowing the stakes, prepared themselves for the fight of their lives. The Ottoman fleet advanced in a wide crescent formation. It was a terrifying and magnificent sight. Don John ordered the 6 galleasses to be towed ahead of his main line. This was a critical and unorthodox tactical decision. The Ottoman commanders were puzzled by these strange, slow-moving ships. As the Ottoman line drew near, the galleasses opened fire. Their heavy cannons wrought havoc on the densely packed Ottoman galleys. The initial bombardment broke the cohesion of the Ottoman advance. Several galleys were sunk before they could even engage. Then, the main fleets crashed into each other. The sea became a chaotic maelstrom of fighting. On the Christian left wing, the Venetian commander Barbarigo was locked in a desperate struggle. He was mortally wounded by an arrow to the eye. Despite his loss, his wing held firm and eventually repulsed the attack. In the center, the 2 flagships, the Real and the Sultana, met head-on. This became the focal point of the entire battle. Don John and Ali Pasha led their men from the front. The decks of the 2 great vessels became a single, bloody battlefield. Spanish tercios boarded the Sultana multiple times, only to be thrown back. The fighting was desperate, brutal, and personal. The tide turned when the Christian reserve, led by Alvaro de Bazan, arrived. These fresh troops added their weight to the assault on the Sultana. In the renewed fighting, Ali Pasha was killed. His death shattered the morale of the Ottoman center. The great Ottoman banner was captured and lowered. In its place, the banner of the Holy League was raised. On the Christian right, the Genoese Admiral Gianandrea Doria faced the cunning corsair Ulugh Ali. Ulugh Ali attempted to outflank the Christian line. He found a gap and fell upon the squadron of the Knights of Malta de Dar. The knights fought with incredible bravery, but were nearly overwhelmed. Once again, the timely arrival of the reserve squadron saved the day. Saying the battle in the center was lost, Ulugh Ali skillfully disengaged. He managed to escape with a fraction of his force, the only Ottoman commander to do so. By late afternoon, the battle was over. The victory for the Holy League was overwhelming and complete. The Ottoman fleet had been annihilated. Over 100 Ottoman galleys were captured, and many more were sunk. The human cost for the Ottomans was catastrophic, with tens of thousands killed or captured. One of the most joyous outcomes was the liberation of thousands of Christian galley slaves. Men who had not stood straight in years were freed from their benches. Their cries of joy mingled with the cheers of the victors. The news of the victory spread like wildfire across Europe. It was met with ecstatic celebrations, ringing bells, and services of thanksgiving. The psychological impact was immense. The myth of Ottoman invincibility at sea had been shattered. For the first time in a century, the Ottoman navy had been decisively defeated in a major engagement. The victory was a massive morale boost for Christian Europe. However, the strategic gains were more limited. The Holy League, plagued by internal rivalries, did not last. Venice was eventually forced to sign a peace treaty, ceding Cyprus. The Ottomans, with their vast resources, quickly rebuilt their fleet. An Ottoman vizier famously remarked, "You have shaved our beard, but it will grow back." Yet, the Battle of Lepanto marked a crucial turning point. It effectively halted the Ottoman Empire's expansion into the western Mediterranean. The battle secured the sea lanes for Christian shipping. It was the last great naval battle fought primarily between oar-powered galleys. The future of naval warfare would belong to the sailing ship and the cannon. Don John of Austria was celebrated as the hero of Christendom. His name would be forever linked with this legendary victory. The writer Miguel de Cervantes fought bravely at Lepanto. He was wounded and lost the use of his left hand. He would later call it the most noble and memorable event that past centuries have seen. The battle became a powerful symbol of European unity against a common foe. It inspired countless works of art, music, and literature. The clash in the Gulf of Patras was more than just a battle. It was a collision of empires, faiths, and visions for the future. The outcome of that single day would echo for centuries. It defined the balance of power in the Mediterranean for generations. The courage of the men who fought there became legendary. From the grandest admiral to the humblest oarsman, they all played their part. The waters of Lepanto hold the memory of their sacrifice. It was a day of brutal violence and extraordinary valor. A day that saved a fleet, and perhaps a continent. The sun set on a scene of devastation and triumph. The Holy League had paid a heavy price for its victory. But the Ottoman tide had been turned back. The threat of total domination had been averted. The Battle of Lepanto remains a testament to the power of a desperate alliance. It stands as a pivotal moment in the long history of Europe. The echoes of its cannons can still be heard by those who listen to the past. The Christian fleet was a coalition of disparate interests. Venice provided the most ships and the experienced sailors. Spain supplied the best soldiers and crucial funding. The papacy provided the moral authority and the diplomatic glue. There was much friction between the Allied commanders. The elderly Venetian commander, Sebastiano Venilla, often clashed with Don John. Yet, on the day of battle, they set aside their differences. The Ottoman fleet was confident of victory. They had not been seriously challenged at sea for decades. Ali Pasha believed their superior numbers and fighting spirit would prevail. He failed to appreciate the Christian advantage in artillery. The sound of the initial cannonade was deafening. It was a new kind of naval warfare for the Ottomans. The battle quickly became a soldier's fight. Arquebuses, swords, and pikes were the weapons of decision. The decks ran slippery with blood. The cries of the wounded were drowned out by the din of battle. For hours, the outcome hung in the balance. A single act of bravery could turn the tide on any given ship. The capture of the Sultana was the decisive moment. With their commander gone and their banner taken, Ottoman resistance collapsed. What followed was less a battle and more a rout. The liberation of the galley slaves was a profoundly moving spectacle. Many immediately took up arms, fighting against their former masters. The battle was a story of technological change. It was a story of faith and desperation. And it was a story of the human cost of war.